Pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Anybody from public forum? I had to ask. Can I have a motion for acceptance of the agenda, please? Joe, second. Felicia, all in favor? Okay. I need a motion for the acceptance of the consensus agenda. Bill, Ron. Any questions? All in favor? Okay. No presentations, no reports, no old business. New businesses, I need a motion to approve the 2021-2022 junior prom to be held at the Catamount Mountain Resort in Massachusetts on May 14th, 2022. Motion, please. Heidi, second. Alicia, any questions? All in favor? All right, no additional items to discuss. Executive session we're going into, correct?
Yes.
I need a motion to go into executive session to, what are we discussing? The
Public safety.
public safety concern. Motion, please. Joe, second. Ron, all right. All in favor? Okay. All right.
You got a 37-second meeting. Okay, did you close the meeting?
Got to adjourn this meeting? Then we
Yes.
start the
Yes.
public- Okay, so I need a motion to adjourn. Joe, second. Bill, all in favor? Okay, thank you.
Who came out? From executive?
Joe, Bill.
Joe and Bill, 6:34. Joe and Bill adjourned as well.
Okay.
Okay. Now I gotta call the meeting to order again or no?
Yeah.
We're not doing the pledge again, right?
We don't have to. do that.
Okay. All right, call the meeting to order at 6:35, our public hearing. Okay. No public forum, Sandra. I need a motion for the acceptance of the agenda. Motion. Heidi, second. Ron. Any questions?
Where's the public?
All in favor?
No.
Thank you, Terry.
That's my question.
Presentations. Our public hearing on school budget.
So,
You can go to,
okay.
the website, number 6 right there.
Okay.
So this is the presentation for tonight, you have it, each have a copy, and then also the complete 3-part budget document is also at, you have printed a copy for each of you, that's been loaded up on the website since Monday. So available for anyone who wants to see it. The Titan Herald was just completed today. So that went to the mailing company. We're sending out about 9,500 copies of that to all the zip codes in the school district we're saturating. So that it will take them probably 3 or 4 days to prepare the mailing. So I would say sometime early next week, you'll start to see that in mailboxes, but I wanted you to have a copy so that you know what it looks like.
Yeah,
And
that's very nice.
yeah, it's come out really nice. And we added it to Facebook today, and I did put it on the budget and voting section of the website as well. So it does have a whole budget section, and then also provide a little bit of information about the two the specific propositions about the buses and the small capital project. We provided a little more information about that. And the required budget notice is also in there. Normally that would be sent out as a separate document, but we try to conserve a little bit, send them together. That's also been uploaded to the website, so we're completely in compliance at this time with all deadlines and required documents. submitted to the state. So this is really just our opportunity to talk about how we brought everything together and recap tax levy and which one? Right, Malcolm. Okay, so this is just recapping where we landed in terms of the proposed total budget and the proposed tax levy. So next year's budget delivers no reductions to any programs. There is some personnel savings, and that is realized through attrition or retirements. For example, we have one elementary school teaching position that we did not replace because of enrollment, and then breakage. So we have had some staff changes and hired new staff. So, you know, there are different salaries, so that's what breakage means. And then, of course, we're using CARES 2 and American Rescue Plan funding to provide some additional classroom teachers and supports for a second year in 22-23. Okay. Again, just recapping where we are with the tax levy, a proposed increase of 1%. That includes a 3% increase to foundation aid that the governor included in the budget and the legislature approved. And then also includes that additional bump of UPK funding that we're receiving for next year. Includes the board's choice to use the surplus capital project funds for debt service, which we voted on last month. So the treasurer has already moved that money from the capital fund to debt service. It'll sit there until July 1st, and then the first of the year, we'll move into the general fund to make those debt service payments. So we have a balanced budget at this time. This just gives you a view of projected class size averages. Pre-K is still a little bit small at this time, but we always usually get more kids as the summer progresses. And I still have it on my list to talk with the attorneys about whether or not you need to take board action for us to allow non-resident students to attend children of staff members who might not live in the district. So only have a few, but even if we do allow them at this time, we think we'll have plenty of room for all kids, even resident children. We are funding all of the budget initiatives that were proposed by staff members. This process starts in late November, early December, with the exception of the AP Math textbook replacement, because we're not offering that next year. So Angela said she can hold. And then the report card changes for grades 5 and 6. I think there's discussion about some other changes, and that proposal just wasn't completely fleshed out at the time that we finished up with the budget. And there's also information about these initiatives included in the Titan Herald as well. And within the 3-part budget document that you have in the comment area, where whatever budget code is being used to pay for any of those, they are specific, those items are specifically listed.
Can I just, I know, I just want to ask Sandra a question. So, because it just prompted me when you said that Angela's not teaching the AP. So for kids that, I know somebody told me we had like 2 kids signed up for calculus, so obviously. So if these 2 students needed calculus for whatever it is they may need it for, whatever they think they may need it for, if we don't offer it, is there an opportunity for them to take it elsewhere? Or is there an opportunity for them to take something that's equivalent that will still put them on the path that they're looking to go?
There absolutely is.
Okay.
We've had maybe 1 or 2 years. This is, I think, the 2nd year since this is my being here that we had this situation. So it doesn't happen often. We can pick it up through distance learning if the student is staying right on campus and he desires to go that way. Most of the 2 students that I remember that were in this situation chose to do it in a summer program through Hudson Valley Community College and did it that way. So that's an option. And then there's other online options that we can look at. I also had a student that even when calculus was being offered, New Visions was the program of choice for that student. So the student came in the afternoon after the New Visions program, worked through, we had Excellus at that time, and did an independent study that way. So we find out.
So there are options, just because I would hate to, I mean, I get it, you can't
Yes.
really do a class for 2 kids, but.
So we try to find the option that fits best for that particular
Okay.
student in the situation they're in.
So do we put the bill for the,
Yeah, we'll put the bill for that.
no, it's free. That's a bill. Free. Yes, it's free and,
It's on site, right?
is it on, I don't know how they're offering it.
Those particular students did go on site, but I believe they have the online option.
Tomorrow morning, we're going to, some of us, a few of us are going over to Columbus Community College. They received a $500,000 grant from
Nice.
Hudson River Bank and Trust. And I have a feeling they're going to open it up as much as they can
That's awesome.
to county residents. So I'll find more out about the program tomorrow. Yes, the Hudson River Bank and Trust Foundation. Correct.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
And you know that we do reimburse kids and families for college and AP course fees. If they get a B or higher, or 3, 4, or 5 on the AP exam. That includes summer courses. So if kids go and take summer classes on their own. Yes, they do have to pay for it up front, but as long as they get a transcript to us in September, we do reimburse them. If they're-
Oh, wow.
So this is something we really only see at this time of year. So as you are all very speaking board members, and so you're aware that really the only required components of the budget that we are, that's necessary for us to share are the 3 mandated categories, which is the program, administration, and capital. So we provide much more information than that. And if you go to the second page of your 3-part document, that second page is the summary of the expenses contained in each of those categories. So I use pink for program, blue for administration, and yellow for capital. So this page right here is technically all that New York State requires that we share with the public. But then obviously, on the subsequent pages, we provide all of the detail, line by line for all of the components. So as with all school budgets, program makes up between 70 and 75% of your budget as it should. That's instruction. Those are your instructional staff and services to kids. Administration of the district is a small piece of the pie, and then your capital expenses, debt service, facility costs, things like that. So, and in this document, I need to make this match in terms of colors, but program is pink, capital is yellow, and admin is blue. In terms of how the budget is paid for, take a look at the graph in terms of percentages. So this is our total budget amount here, and anywhere between usually 62 and 66% is paid for by real property taxes, about 32% state aid, and then other revenue. So this amount for us this year represents appropriated fund balance. It represents our miscellaneous revenues of about $450,000, and it also represents the $330,000 coming from debt service. So we are using a chunk of additional revenue to balance the budget this year, which minimizes the burden by the taxpayer. So most of general fund expenses are comprised of your costs related to your staff. So salaries and benefits. And then the rest of the budget is about $13 million. So in the next couple of slides, we'll take a look at what is in both of these areas. So from that, the large piece of the pie, the employee salaries and benefits, we break that up into current employees and retirees. So next year, current employee salaries about $16.6 million. Benefits represent, for current staff, active staff, about 7.2 million. And retiree benefits right here, 2.6 million. And this number is up by about $600,000 for next year, driven by that RX cost increase. Most of our retirees, with the majority of our retirees, are locked in at paying between 7.5% and 10% for their health insurance. Next, we'll look at the remainder of the budget shakes out, a small piece of the pie, and we break it out into these very common cost centers that we work through during the year. And you can see BOCES services, facility, transportation, special ed, district office, required contractual costs, and then the buildings, construction, staff development. And over here is bond payments and out of school tuition. So we are also required to share information about what would happen if the budget did not pass. Okay, we could of course put it up for another vote, and we have historic, incredible support in this school district for our school budgets. But in the event that it didn't, we put it up again and it did not pass, under the New York State tax cap, a contingency budget says that we cannot raise the tax levy any more than we did in the prior year. So it would be a 0% increase in the tax levy, and then you have to make required cost reductions in your budget as well. So you go to the next slide, and essentially you have to charge fees to allow people to use the building, where we don't charge nonprofits to use the building now. You would have to charge. You couldn't take field trips that weren't associated with the curriculum. You couldn't fund, we fund school supplies for all kids in this district. We don't ask parents to supply anything. We could not fund that under a contingency budget. Non-essential maintenance, we could not make any of the equipment purchases that we had planned. Couldn't purchase the buses, would be a capital project. And any employees that are not in a collective bargaining unit could not receive a salary increase as well, but we don't have that in this district. All employees are represented by a union.
Is there anything in the contingency budget that, when I went to school, I remember the budget was voted down when there was talk about anybody who lives within a mile or 2 radius of the school had to either walk or be bused by the parents.
Right, yeah, that could have been related to the cost reduction that was required. They had to remove so much from the budget, and a piece of transportation was probably needed.
So I think even without employees down, we could do that. We could, if we live within a mile of the school, I think we could technically not need to be picked up and just walk.
So this information is also included on the budget notice that goes out. You can go to the next slide, because we have to show what the value of all those reductions would be. And it's about $1.4 million. So
Before it gets to the contingency budget, do the taxpayers have an opportunity to vote on it a second time?
before it would get to that point, yes, we could put the same exact budget back up for a vote again. Yes, in June. So, obviously the contingency budget does nothing but hurt kids and staff. So, we want to continue that level of support that we have in the district.
Is that a law, or is that something that?
No, that could, my interpretation is that the people have choice.
So I'd just like to show you what the historical tax levy, the levy changes are. I drop off the oldest year every year and add next year. So, and, in any of these years, we would have to look at, the specific circumstances that were occurring in each year, what made us choose to go, with one tax levy over the other. And this I know is hard to read on this slide, so you may want to look at it in your presentation. But I keep track of this every year anyway, but I decided to include it in the presentation this year. And so this is a graph that shows since the inception of the tax cap law in 2012, what we did levy which is in blue. And what we could have levied that was allowable under the law.
So Sybil, do you have, so the orange is what we could have,
That's correct.
that's the money left on the table. When I use the term money left on the table, that orange column is, the difference between the blue and the orange is the money we left on the table. It means we did not tax the taxpayers total amount that we could have,
Under the law.
and we've never done that, it looks like, except for 1 year it was even.
That was a good year.
So you've been keeping track of this data. Do you have the actual dollar amount of every one of those years of all the money we've left on the table? Because I would love that information.
Yeah, I do have the individual amounts, fine,
I
definitely
would
can
love
share
that.
that. But
If you
the
could
grand
get that to me.
total, the grand total is this number right
Of all those years.
here. Yes,
That's what
So-
we've left on the table all those years.
untaxed, yeah.
So just to throw a little salt on the wound, so to speak, this is does not take into compounding interest.
Correct.
Law.
Right, so every year when you are, looking to start your formula for the next budget cycle, instead of starting here, we're starting here. So next year, instead of starting here or anywhere in between, right? Because we said that 4.13, was not necessary, but anywhere above 1. But we'll be starting here to build the formula for next year. And if you
Thank
just
you.
scroll down a tiny bit, why it does show the years along the bottom. So just reminding the public about the propositions we'll be voting on, adoption of the school budget, election of 4 school members, school board members with 6 candidates running, purchase of 3 buses and a small capital improvement project, replacing the feature field lights and the entrances at both school buildings. Vote on this, thank you.
Can I ask a question about the actual voting process? Has anything changed? I know from last year, they should talk about that, or are we still doing the full registration and everything
No,
still the same?
The remission of the contracts.
Yeah. They're using iPads this year to sign in, but the whole voting process is exactly the same. I haven't heard anything from any, Rick, surprise, surprise. So, and the other question I had was because the governor said she was going to allow mail-in ballots. Do people have to request that? Right, so have we had a lot requested that we know? I would say approximately 5. In addition to the permanent.
So you do apply for a mail-in.
Right, because of COVID, but her specific rule was because of COVID, you could say that you were afraid of
Right.
getting sick, so she allowed the state to have mail-in ballot, other than the usual absentee, whatever. Okay, so,
Disability
right,
folks.
Is it too late for them to ask for one now?
no, they can ask all that.
Yeah.
For mail-in ballot, it has to get here.
Yeah, but it has to get here in time.
They have to
Override it or whatever.
drop it off.
You've only gotten 5? Wow.
Well, Candy, you know what last year?
I would say about maybe 40.
When I ran, it was 100. That year and more.
Does anybody
That's in
ever?
It was a
addition to
friggin-
the list that we get of the permanently disabled voters.
Right,
which
right.
are-
That's-
There's about 100.
That's always,
130.
yeah, that's always every year, right? My mom
Yeah, but
always
we
does that.
hardly get any of those back.
My
Really?
mother-in-law says,
Good for her.
she makes sure she does.
Excellent.
So one thing that I always get concerned about when, we're providing a balanced budget that's loaded with services and programs for kids and staff with a 1% tax levy, we have to get people out to vote. So in that Titan Herald, we did talk about how, the tax levy is well below the 4.13 that we were legally allowed to raise. But sometimes when voters see that it's 1%, it's a balanced budget, I don't need to vote this year. But we still need people to
And you
come.
don't, that's.
Yeah, we still need people to come and vote. So please, encourage people.
We got tens of thousands of potential voters and you get 500 people.
Let me ask you something, I mean, like, we've always had a very record, no turnout for vote. Have we ever thought about putting like a, certain communities, put like a school bus to pick up people and bring them to school or on that day?
One thing that we have tried that has helped is we've scheduled concerts on the night of the budget vote.
Yeah.
And then, we've got people down there reminding.
And we do have that, we have
We have
spring into
spring into
learning.
learning.
Spring into learning is that night, which is great, so we can, hopefully, generate some interest that way too. Or if there's a sporting event going on, we get more parents.
Is there any more questions for Susan? Do we have anything else to discuss?
No, I guess for an FYI, I passed around a potential rubric.
Can I send you, I didn't give you my questions. Can you give them to me?
You want to
Oh, is
mention,
that-
want to mention,
Is it time for some?
negotiations and.
Oh, no, I'll tell you about that. in a
Oh,
minute.
okay.
Yeah, I think, no, I think that we'll just go ahead and do this.
Are we gonna do the candidates tonight or something?
No.
No.
Okay.
So what this is a list of 5 questions over 6 different categories. And this is just a starting point. We're probably gonna modify this as we move forward. We're gonna I'm gonna talk with the leadership team about how we want to move forward with committees. And Sandra and I have had a brief discussion about this today. And I'm gonna talk with Bonnie and Ron to see, what some thoughts are. But if you have any suggestions, please feel free to email. But this is just a first draft of some of the things that we might be looking for and potentially asking a candidate to answer or to pontificate on. Right. But that's it. Really. And I don't know, Bonnie, if you wanted to say something about negotiations. Pardon me? Civil? After? Okay.
Let's go to executive session for that or no?
Or
I mean,
we could just,
it's going to mediation. We can come to an agreement on, those comes down to the last few things. Unfortunately, yeah, so I don't think there's a date set, right? So we'll let you know, hopefully by next board meeting. It's too bad because, yeah. I think it was, I think we're very close, there's just certain things we didn't come to an agreement on, so I'm hoping mediation will be quick, is what I'm hoping. Is that it?
it.
All right, motion to adjourn, Joe, second? No. One favor. Thank you. So these little cards that I set before you,